What's going on, everybody? Jacob here at the Nutrition Store, and we are joined by the Jason Arntz from I-Prevail Supplements. What's going on, man?
Sure. How are you? Good to see you again.
I'm doing great, man. You know, we were having a really slow day today, and Jason just walked through the door, and it was almost like I heard angels singing.
I was afraid if you knew I was coming, you'd disappear or call out sick or you wouldn't want to be here.
Nah, man, who does that to sales reps? I mean, stores don't do that.
Right, they don't do that.
Last time that Jason came down, it was awesome because first time meeting him, I didn't even know your company existed. You know, he had seen our videos. Yeah. He was like, man, I've drove out of the way to see you guys. I just wanted to stop in and because the first words you said, you were like, this is where it all happens.
This is where it all happens.
I'm like,
so ironically, I came here today to buy a nutsack.
It's a nutsack.
Because you're probably not going to believe this, but I have not that you won't believe I have a daughter. I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they are so fixated on the nutsack video.
Yeah.
They said, Daddy, you have to go there and pick up a nutsack. You have to bring home a nutsack. So, as promised, I'm going to bring home a nutsack to my
We got
girls.
you covered, man. You know, the nutsack was a huge deal like a month and a half ago. And you know what? In addition to this, we're going to do another order of them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But Jason's got an awesome personality as far as with what his brand represents and your products, man. I mean, you know, those of you guys that are watching this, we carry the Rogue pre-workout and also the Forge pre-workout. Both of these are very, very impressive formulas in their category. You know, amazing focus with the Rogue. That's one thing that we noticed just immediately. So, you know, with this beautiful man sitting in our store, I was like, dude, let's get on a podcast. Yeah. I want to hear more about your story and how I-Prevail got started. Keep in mind, IFBB Pro retired, supplement industry, he's been around the block. Yeah. I just want you to start at square one, man, and let's hear about it.
All right, so, you know, as a competitive athlete, as a amateur bodybuilder and a pro bodybuilder, you know, I always take things, I'm a perfectionist, you know, so whatever I do, I have to do it to the fullest. There has to be a reasoning for everything. There has to be a desired effect, and there's the cause and the effect.
Right.
Okay. So for every effect you have, there has to be a cause of what's going to cause this to happen. So in the sport of bodybuilding, as I was progressing, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You know, so nutrition was a key thing. I learned as much as I possibly can about dieting, what happens to your body, how your body breaks down proteins, how it breaks down carbohydrates, fats. Why do low carb diets work? Why don't they work? Why do high fat diets work for some people and not work for other people? Why do moderate protein diets work? You know, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to learn the basic fundamentals of everything nutrient-wise. That kind of pushed into supplement-wise, and of course, you know, the performance enhancer, you know, side of the sport also. So, I mean, I used to know the pathology reports of everything I'd put into my body because I want to do it as safely as possible. So with that being said, you know, I came to the realization is, you know, look, if I'm doing this, I can't have a minute out of the day that my body's going in the opposite direction. So when it came to supplements, when it came to putting together formulas, I started buying. They didn't have the stuff that we have now. They didn't have the components. You know, my rehab, my intra-workout. I still don't understand how people haven't caught on to the importance of an intra-workout. It's when your body's breaking down, your cells are breaking down, they need to refuel. You know, if you cut yourself, your body doesn't wait till you go home and put Neosporin or it wants to start healing right away. Same thing with your muscle cells. So if you could help the process out by giving them the nutrients they need to recover, you're going to perform better, you're going to recover better, and in between sets you'll rest better and you could be stronger for your next set. So I started putting together ingredient profiles and things I started working with, and like I said, with the rehab, I used to use Gatorade as a carbohydrate source. They didn't have the stuff we have now. That turned into you know, maltodextrin, or you know, and then it turned into Vitargo, and then Carbolin, and then cluster.
Remember Vitargo, man? That was I mean, that still kind of is the stuff.
It still is, but I've kind of moved on to Carb 10, which works for me the best. It's a low molecular body weight, so it passes through your gut, your intestinal tract real fast. You don't get an insulin spike for everybody who's
all concerned about that.
Keto friendly,
or drug users alike. You know, anything.
Right. So, but it's just enough carbs to spare protein breakdown, and the essential and branched chain amino acids that are in there could actually be used to aid in recovery as opposed to being used as a fuel source during training. But you know,
so that was your first formula, kind of, that you came up with. That was my first formula. Your intra workout. Yeah. So you know, he got started in fitness. You were intrigued by the chemical processes, learning. I think that's how we all get our start too. I mean, something triggers that response where you're just like, I fucking love this.
Right. Well,
like
maybe we're all kids and we want to be superheroes and we want to learn how to get there and have abilities that nobody else has, and how do you obtain that? You know, so diet, nutrition, training, and trying to push the envelope. You know, that was how I started, learning the health benefits of it also. You don't want to drop dead in the process.
Exactly.
You got to try to keep that in perspective. So I just always applied that to everything I was doing. You know, I learned the supplement game, and then I was a contracted athlete for 10 different supplement companies.
Right.
And I used to go and work the shows and work the booths and sign autographs, and they'd come over, and I used to give my pictures away. I wasn't into selling pictures.
Man.
Not for nothing. No disrespect to the guys that do it, but if I got to charge you $10 for a picture of me, then I better find another job. You know?
Well, you know, maybe back in the 80s, 90s, it was probably a lot easier to do. I think nowadays it's like it's bodybuilding.
Now it's bodybuilding.
You know, and I hate to say that, but
it's taking a turn.
Yeah,
it's taking a turn.
But I'll be definitely showing people's pictures over the screen here of you in the prime IFBB days. Of course, man. No, I mean it's respectable.
Talk to the guys at the booth and just find out what they were using, and then put them on the supplements. So I got approached by somebody, and it was right before my first daughter was born. He said, "Hey, how would you feel about coming on as a sales rep?" I'd never thought of that before, because I wasn't into sales. You know, I was into being an athlete and competing, and I had a goal, and I was trying to get there. But at the time, you know, my wife was pregnant, and could have used the health insurance and stuff like that, so it kind of made sense. And he's like, I've never heard anybody talk to customers the way you do, and the way you break it down, like in layman's terms. It makes it easy for people to understand. But that's how I learn things. You know, explain it to me like a fifth grader. You know, so I could break it down in the simplest form. That's how you learn it. You know, and I always had a desire to learn that. That progressed. I did well in sales. I worked for a couple different companies, and I you know, wasn't always happy with the direction they wanted to go in. I'm a niche guy. I was a pro bodybuilder. Some of the directions they were going in, you could tell it was just monetary based. And you know, for window dressing, putting things on the label that had minimal amounts or sprinkles in.
And you know, guys, we've talked about this with Justin Hall and Ben Kane on our show here before, as far as the lives go. To those of you that don't know, the supplement industry is, for a lack of better terms, it's very shitty. I mean, in certain ways, you know, you've got great brands like yours, like, you know, I can list NutriBio. I'm willing to even consider Alpha Line up there with as far as transparency, with dosing strategies. Then you've got the opposite end, and that's what he's referring to. You know, low dosages, proprietary blends, putting lack of ingredients and things that aren't even effective.
Not even telling you what's in the ingredients, or not even having it on the label and it's in there. You know, well, look, it's like the Wild West. You know, anybody could do anything, but sooner or later. You know, sooner or later,
Judgment Day comes. You're reckoning.
You can't go around screwing the world and expect it not to catch up to you. You know, so I don't have to be a $50 million a year company. Hey, if I did, that's great. But I enjoy being a guy that does the groundwork. You know, that puts the grind in, and could deliver something that, you know, I get more out of it when people get a good response, as opposed to me selling more volume.
Exactly.
You know, like I promote a bodybuilding show in New Jersey, and there's years that I did great, but it was so overcrowded that I had a couple complaints. I'd never had complaints before from any of my competitors, any of the vendors that came there, or any of the people that came to watch the show. That bothered me, even though I made the most money at that show, and I probably shouldn't have cared, but that affected me more than one of my smaller shows where it ran great. I'm coming back next year. I love your show. And like, that's what I like. You know, so,
and that's the difference between taking passion to something and taking profit to something.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and you guys can tell he speaks with from a place of passion for what he does and what he's doing. I have no doubts that you'll reach that level of margin.
Thank you.
So I mean, so what you got into bodybuilding, IFBB Pro. You were signing photographs. Then you became a sales rep for, you know, company we won't have to name it. You know, so you've been around the block.
I was a sales rep for 10 years for different companies, and I was approached to take a leadership role in the company. And the company at that time had already taken a turn in not a great direction, and I really thought that I could have rebuilt it and restructured it and put together some formulas for them that could have worked, and got back to the brick and mortars and support the guys that built the company to what it was, as opposed to making products that are sold in Walmart. You know, and look, hey, I shop in Walmart. Me and my wife, we shop in Walmart. I have no problem with Walmart. but that's not my market. I'm a niche guy, you know, and I didn't want to have products that when people hear, you know, the phrase "attention Walmart shoppers," they think of my brand. It's just I'd rather make less money and have real athletes, like guys that are looking for benefits. So the position with the company took a weird turn in the 11th hour, and at that moment I was like, I'm not staying.
Yeah,
you know,
no doubt.
I'm not staying. I'm not waiting, and I'm not staying. So I started putting things in order, and I had ideas to come up with my own line, and I had offers from investors for years. People that I knew in the dude, I'll let you run the company. I'll invest in you. I'll give you that. But I don't want an investor. I don't want anybody to answer to. You know, you're an entrepreneur. You know how it is. Like you know. It's tough when you try to make business decisions and you know you have to look over your shoulder and say, well, does this work for you financially? I don't want to do it that way. Yeah. So I took things my own route and started putting together my formulas and you know we had talked about the name of the company. And you know I came from a different background. You know I've been on my own at a young age. I came from a family of you know some violence and alcoholism and abuse, and I had to get out. You know, I had to get out at a young age, and I've been on my own. And I've made some good decisions and bad decisions, and but I've cleaned up. I've always cleaned up my own messes. But for me, you know, nothing's ever come easy. You know, it's always been an uphill battle. And look, everything's always harder than you plan on. But I feel as if like I've always done it on my own, and it's more of an accomplishment as opposed to, you know, politics being involved. I mean, nobody could ever say I didn't place where I deserved. People could say I should have placed higher, but nobody's going to say I didn't place where I deserved. So when putting together the you know the name of the company, I saw it was a meme, a picture of some girl, and she was running on the beach, and she had a shirt, and the shirt said "Prevail." And I was like, I like that. And I just thought of, you know, my struggles and not just me, but this really applies to, dude, it's tough for all of us, you know what I mean? And we all need to think of ourselves, and we all need to work through things and deal with things and get rid of our hang-ups. So I-Prevail, it just kind of snapped in my head, you know, and the two lightning bolts coming together to form the V just kind of came to, and then that's how I came up with it. Then there's the rock band.
Well,
they're not suing me. They're not suing me.
Different, totally different industry.
They're a great band. I hear them on satellite radio.
No, I mean that's awesome, man. Though you know, you just kind of had that just awakening moment. You're like, I need to do this. I mean, and that's when it dawned on you, pretty much.
Well, there's been so many times in the past, and I had 10 reasons why not to do it.
I think we all do.
My first daughter was born. My second daughter was born. It's not the right time. I'm making good money now. Why should I leave? Blah blah blah. I have good relationships. I like my coworkers. But then it got to the point where, you know what, this is my defining moment, and you know, I took the initiative and. I'm funding the company by myself. It's just my wife and I running it. You know, you get your orders on time. There's no problems.
This man literally, I can text him at like midnight and thank you, brother. Got your orders out.
Well, so
like, you know, so
I run the UPS store. Right
no, I mean, and that just speaks to his integrity. You know, man. You know that it's an awesome story to hear. I think some of the best things in life, they come from a struggle. And you know, nothing's ever handed easily to anybody. And so the fact that you're finally taking that leap and you're making groundwork happen, that speaks a lot about yourself. So, you know, in conclusion, let's talk about one of your best products, though, you know, something that we carry here.
Okay.
You know, probably Rogue. I personally love Forge. But let's just give people a rundown, kind of let them know, you know, about why you formulated it the way you did.
So Rogue, I designed Rogue for a specific performance. I've taken high stim pre-workouts before, but when I train, I'm training for a purpose. And you did a funny skit the other day, dude. I loved it. You said something about it. And it's funny because I had said this in the past, not in your words, but I had said it in the past about, you know, some of these kids, they just want to get fucking cracked out of their head and go and have a nice workout. I'm there to train. I'm there to perform and then go home and sleep on their mom's couch. Right?
Well, it's, you know, it's these kids, they and I think it's the young complex. Oh my God, he said this is really potent. I need it. Right. Do you really? You know, you're only bench pressing 135 pounds.
If you can't look,
like
we didn't have pre-workouts in my time.
No.
You know what I mean? Our pre-workout was water. You know, so
exactly.
This is what you get. I mean, obviously things progressed. Ephedrine was big.
Or Quinn. You know, I mean, whatever.
Or you know, an 8 ball, whatever you got to do to get you in the gym. So no, I'm kidding about the 8 ball. But so I put together Rogue because as crazy as it sounds, I like having that drive. I like having that focus. I like having that intensity when I attack the gym. And that's how I've always attacked my workouts. I always wrote them out beforehand. I knew what I was doing before I got to the gym, because if it's 9 o'clock at night, and I feel like I have energy and I feel like I could do this, then I better be able to do it at 6 in the morning. Because if I could do it now, I could do it then.
Exactly.
So it gave me like a little more incentive. But I do like to focus. So I did want to create something with a high focus environment without having to feel like a heavy caffeine blend where your heart is jumping out of your chest and you can't breathe and you're seeing stars, and that's not how you perform better. Rogue is a very intense focus, very intense, but it's
stout.
It's a moderate, I could say it's above average caffeine blend. It's 250 mgs of caffeine anhydrous with 125 dimalate.
Right.
So when the anhydrous starts dipping off, the malate kicks about 25 to 30 minutes later. She had a nice steady energy release with the ureogenesis, 100 milligrams, and the DMHA, the 2-amino-6, is 200 milligrams. It's the same kind of release. It's two different pathways to release norepinephrine in your brain. You don't get a crash from that either.
Right.
I added the gram of Hydromax, the clumping bandit.
If you guys saw, if you guys saw our video on glycerol, if you didn't, click the link in the bio right here. We're gonna let you go watch that, and it tends to clump up, but it's an amazing.
You can't avoid
ingredient.
it. It bonds to the flavoring and it pulls water in, but that's what it does in your muscle cells. That's why you get pumped from it.
Yeah.
But
I'd be interested in seeing an endurance formula come from something like that.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
And because the research on that in runners, we see high plasma volumes in blood. So doing something with a high dose of glycerol, nobody's done that
or
yet.
Epigen. Let's just throw some Epigen in there.
Right.
And get people going.
But so that is something that we love a whole lot here. Yeah. I'll be doing a separate talk on Forge at some point, just because the Lion's Mane, that's a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I love it also. It's one nootropic that, I've used alpha GPC, I've used other choline derivatives, and I've used racetams, but I feel Lion's Mane.
Yeah, definitely.
I experimented with it because I think the clinical dose was 600 milligrams.
Yeah.
So I started off with 600 milligrams, and it was okay. I felt it. I upped it to 750. That was okay. I said, let me try 1,000. I tried 1,000. I just felt it. Just clean energy. I like stacking it with the Rogue. I know it's kind of a little bit of a conflict there.
Hey,
but
man.
It works good for me. But so the Rogue was designed for performance, and the Forge was designed for pump. I had people saying, "Oh, well, this isn't really a pump product." It's like, look, you can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
If you want the best of something, you can't be trying to be the jack of trade of everything.
Right. Exactly.
And that's.
But when I put together the Forge product, there was one product in mind that. See, look, I've used enhancements. I've used hormone, therapy.
Of course. Yeah.
So at that time, the pump products were I was the worst person to ask about them because, dude, I train hard, I eat clean, I get pumped no matter what.
Right.
I was on gear, so I get pumped regardless.
Yeah.
And I never actually took a pump product that I felt like worked for me. I didn't have a nitrogen imbalance, so nitrates didn't really do much for me. I ate a good amount of sodium, so that didn't make a difference. I ate carbohydrates, so a glycerol effect wasn't going to be anything for me. But I came up with some components in the Forge. There's 7 different pathways to deliver blood into the cells.
Yeah.
And I'm attacking all 7 of them.
Yeah.
From pine bark extract, which expands your red blood cells, to the mentoflavone, which is a bioflavonoid, which enriches the calcium levels in your muscles, makes them contract stronger, pull more blood in. And then I have the sodium, potassium, the nitrate blend, and I have the citrulline, glycerol, and the and agmatine sulfate. Yeah. Plus an extra taurine in there, just to give it an extra mental kick.
That's right. That's right. It's a stout formula, so we do carry both of those. But, if you guys ever have any questions about his product specifically, you can always reach out to him. Yeah. His Instagram will be posted right here. Or obviously come by and talk to me.
Come here.
We definitely are more than happy to. Yeah, definitely come and get your TNS wear. Jason, man, thank you so much for sitting down, man.
Thanks
for
having me.
It's been a great time. Yeah, dude.
It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.